Today we're talking about Chicago's neighborhoods. We have so many famous neighborhoods here, Melissa. Which are the best neighborhoods for artists?
Well, I will say, TW, prices have been going up in Chicago just like everywhere else. And so artists have been displaced a little bit. So there aren't quite the artist hubs that there used to be. But having said that, I still think there's some great neighborhoods that I would definitely recommend that artists check out. I think my first one would be Pilsen. Still probably my number one for artists. It's near the city, the downtown area on the southwest side of Chicago. It's right off the expressway, relatively accessible to the L. There are some really wild, creative properties down there. Some of the weirdest rehabs I've ever seen are in Pilsen. But it's just a really great stock. There's, it's Halsted and 18th are kind of the main drags. And along both of those streets, you have a nice mix of commercial and residential properties. You've got the Mexican Fine Arts Museum in the neighborhood. There's a lot of galleries, a lot of restaurants, bars, entertainment, fun things to do. So this is one I think is definitely still a number one. Not as affordable as it used to be, but still pretty affordable if you look at the big picture.
And it's also right near UIC, which has a great art program and a lot of great things going on.
Yes, very convenient just to the whole rest of Chicago.
Yeah, so that's Pilsen.
Yeah.
What else is on your list?
So going south of Pilsen is Bridgeport, right around 31st and Halsted. That neighborhood has a lot of interesting old warehouses that have been converted to artist studio space, several of them, mostly along 35th Street, which is also where the White Sox are for now. Bridgeport is right next to the expressway. It's relatively close to the L. I will say I've always found the prices down there to be a little bit inflated, especially considering it doesn't really quite have the restaurant and bar scene of some other neighborhoods we're going to discuss, but it has been improving over the last few years. And you will find an interesting mix of sort of weird commercial stretches like Morgan down there that have a lot of funky properties and a lot of funky tenants. So Bridgeport has some things to look at.
There's some really cool organizations down in Bridgeport.
Yes, the Zhao brothers have almost converted an entire block. There's Lumpen and Co. Prosperity Spear down there, and there are several other organizations as well.
That's great. Yeah, it's always a very fun neighborhood.
Fun place to be, yes.
And so what else is down on the south side?
Well, if you continue further south, I would encourage people to look at the Washington Park and South Shore neighborhoods. These sort of circle Hyde Park, which is where the University of Chicago is. Good access to the L, and there's also a Metro line down there. They're in between Lakeshore Drive and the expressway, so not too bad on expressway access. Huge buildings, huge historic old buildings, some really grand properties. It's much more affordable down there. You're probably not going to get quite the restaurant and entertainment scene that you want, but you can get a really big property down there. Little more traditional houses and apartment style, but lots of opportunity. And like, for example, the artist Theaster Gates has done a lot of redevelopment in the area, including the Black Cinema House and the Stony Island Arts Bank. There's also like this Sister Cinema organization in South Shore that I really like. So some fun stuff down there too.
And is that far from Bronzeville?
No, Bronzeville's a little further north, more like in the 30s and 40s off of the lakefront. So Bronzeville's nice because you get a lot of lake access. You also have some really beautiful old boulevards running through there, like Martin Luther King Boulevard. And so you have some grand old houses. This is a historic neighborhood. You've got the Southside Community Arts Center that's been there since the 1930s. So there's a lot in Bronzeville that you could enjoy. I think it's been a little bit of a transition for that neighborhood, and it's not quite back to where it once was as far as being an arts mecca, but there is still many things to enjoy down there. And like I said, you've got big, beautiful old boulevards, big, beautiful old homes, and access to the lakefront and Lakeshore Drive, which are real benefits to the area.
Yeah, it's certainly really charming down there for sure.
Yes, yes.
And what do you have coming further north?
So if we're going to go all the way north, staying along the lakefront, we're going to go to Rogers Park, okay? That's the farthest north neighborhood in Chicago. Super affordable still. It's right along the lake, so you've got beautiful beaches up there. You've got the Metra, and you've got the L going up there. Unfortunately, it does not have good access to any highways, which would probably be my number one strike against Rogers Park. It can feel a little cut off from the rest of the city at times. But still, it has some of the biggest apartments I've ever seen in my life are in Rogers Park. So you can get a lot of space up there. There are still a lot of artists and arts organizations, probably because of the affordability. Unfortunately, the Heartland Cafe did close a few years ago, and I think that was a real blow to the neighborhood. But you've still got Loyola University up there and many other arts organizations in the area. So definitely one to look at, especially if space is something that you want.
I think they have a lot of mixed use places up there. Is that right in Rogers Park?
Yeah, tons of apartment buildings, some mixed use, even big homes and nice sized lots as well. I feel like you could eat every nationality in the world without leaving Rogers Park if you tried hard enough.
That sounds excellent.
Yeah.
What else on the north side?
So on the north side, I'm going to kind of combine a couple neighborhoods. We've got Wicker Park, Bucktown, and Logan Square. All of these neighborhoods are running along the Blue Line and Milwaukee Avenue going northwest. These neighborhoods have really been great areas for artists in the past, but they have had a lot of gentrification the last few years and have gotten quite expensive. Now, if money's not the problem, you could get a really cool space in some of these neighborhoods still. And Wicker Park in particular has a great nightlife scene and still has a lot of small galleries that are fun to explore. So, there's great stock in both Logan, Bucktown, and Wicker Park. Really interesting mix of properties from condos all the way up to giant apartment buildings. Unfortunately, affordability is the one downside of those neighborhoods, but I would really encourage artists to keep the progress going northwest from there along Milwaukee and the Blue Line going out towards O'Hare. I think there's many other neighborhoods that have opportunities in that direction that people can explore where they can get a little bit more affordability.
So maybe you're talking Mayfair, Jefferson Park?
Yes, Jefferson Park, even Norwood Park has a really cute little commercial stretch in it. So yeah, looking at those neighborhoods is definitely something to consider.
That's excellent. So if people are moving to town or looking for a place to settle, these are a lot of great ideas if you're an artist. If they want to pursue this, what's the best way to find you?
Well, certainly reach out to me at arthousechicago.com. But as I said, this is just my list of Chicago neighborhoods. There's tons of great neighborhoods in Chicago. And at this point, I would say artists are in all of them.
Excellent. This is really great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.